Welcome to Manhwa Recaps, spoilers ahead, watch out, and take care. Huge shout out and special thanks to the channel members. The manhwa starts by taking us back 3 million years ago, and it was the time where Australopithecus afarensis roamed the earth. But it wasn't just them. There was someone else who was also there. He was someone who had an unusual love for hunting. While he was a pretty normal Australopithecus, there was something unusual about him. He was unable to die. Even after his species went extinct long ago, eons passed by him. He went along with it, slowly evolving throughout his time, unable to die from old age. Rather, it was as if time didn't really have an effect on him, and he just continued forward. The only thing that continued throughout this time was the time that he spent hunting, in combat, but also fighting. Only these were the pleasures he got to indulge in. Over 3 million years, his body evolved to adapt to fighting with only physical strength, and he became a god. He is now rank 1 in the divine realm. He is the earth god named Mu. He is now the overseer of the entire planet. As he raises his foot up, he says that he's so bored, and then he slams it down, sending a shockwave throughout the entire surface of wherever he's at, which we learn is actually the dwelling place of gods called the divine realm. But the shockwave was actually on a planetary scale, as it first sent out a rupture throughout the entire area, generating massive shakes. Every being in this divine realm could feel this presence. Then we see someone else, who is the overseer of the planet Elmer. They are the rank 2 in the divine realm, and their name is Lucifer. Lucifer says that there he goes again, and he must be bored. Meanwhile, Mu says that he feels like he's fought everybody worth fighting, and now there's no one who can match him. The last time he fought was about 1,000 years ago, and that being too strong is a problem. He then thinks about the fact that he's too strong, saying that he just needs to weaken himself, and that he might just be a genius. If it took thousands of years for this thought, I think not. He says that if he has the body of somebody from Earth who is very weak, there will be plenty of opponents to fight. He calls out for his yang, as we see it soaring through the sky. It lands in front of him, and it has actually grown a lot from when we saw it in one of the earlier panels. It is his personal assistant, and its name is actually just Yang. Yang asks if he was called for, and Mu tells him to take care of the place while he's gone. Yang immediately starts to use a spell called the Binding of the Absolute. Casting 2 magic circles from his hands, the chains grab around Mu, stopping him from moving. Yang looks anxious, and then asks Mu where he's going without an explanation, as there's a gods meeting soon, wondering what he's planning to do. Mu says that he doesn't really care, and he starts walking away, carrying Yang behind him. Yang asks what he's meant to do if he leaves this place, as he doesn't even know where he's going, or what he's doing, so he doesn't know what to say at the meeting. And he feels miserable. Mu breaks free from the chains, and asks him if he's trying to fight him then. Yang immediately tells him just to have a safe trip, as Mu puts his hand out towards Earth, saying that he's off. Then he wonders whose body to borrow. He starts listening to all of the voices, and he hears somebody saying that if they really exist, to send him to another world. He says he decided on this one, and he'll even grant their wishes as a bonus. He starts laughing. Poor Yang. Mu then debates giving him an explanation, and he says that he'll leave the body behind, so he should take good care of it, as he's entrusting it to him, and that whoever comes here in his place needs to be taken care of too. Yang says that he's not allowed to send his soul away, since, if somehow his body dies while the soul is still inside, the soul will be destroyed too. Mu asks why he's so worried, saying that he'll be back later. Yang tells him that it's too dangerous. And it jumps to a demon king crying, as they were defeated by a hero sword. The hero is excited, and that is the end of the anime. We see somebody watching it, saying that it's finally over, and in the end it's yet another harem ending, and the guy sure is lucky. We are introduced to a 17-year-old named Lee Ho. He drops his phone out of his hands as it slowly tumbles down to the ground, shattering, and he says that was fun. As he now stands on the rooftop, he says he can die without regrets. We see him shaking, saying how shitty this world is. He must have been bullied since he's covered in wounds. Then he jumps off the roof, saying that if there really is a god, it's time to send him to another world. As he starts to get closer to his phone, he splats on the ground, painting his blood all along the pavement, covering his phone too. His hands begin twitching, and we hear him coughing. He wonders what's going on, as we see Mew is actually inside of his body. Meanwhile, Liho's soul is standing before Yang Yang, and Bro is absolutely huge. He asks him who he is, but Yang Yang is curious as well, wondering what's going on. We get a short flashback to right as Mew started to teleport to Earth and when he gained consciousness. The very first thing he saw was the pavement, as he crashed straight into the ground, breaking his glasses and sending his blood flying. He asks what this is, saying that he can't believe this happened as soon as he got here. His hands begin trembling as he stretches forward, and then they stop. As he lays there, going limp, he explains that involuntary muscles are ones that move without conscious control. The heart and muscles of other internal organs are examples of these. And that he, who has spent 3 million years training his physical body, has reached the pinnacle of understanding of human form. He could consciously control every part of his body and blood vessels, and even the involuntary muscles were no exception. He jumpstarts his heart then immediately gasps for air after. He says he's repaired his heart by moving the blood vessels. He even managed to stop the bleeding, and it's been a while since he's bled this much. Then he starts to smile, saying that coming here was definitely the right choice, and it's time for him to sift through the memories to see what's going on. He says first he'll head back to his base, leaving his broken glasses on the ground. He's still struggling to walk and says at this rate, it'll take all day for him to get there. He starts using his hands like an absolute freak, and he heads to Liho's house. And sits down on his bed, saying after spending hours taking through the memories, he's figured it out. There's one male family member, but he lives far away. Essentially, he lives alone. In simple terms, he is poor. And his occupation involves attending a place called school. But there's more to this school thing. There is somebody who's constantly picking a fight with Liho every single time he got to school, bullying him. But to Mew, this isn't a bad thing. Rather, he thinks it's perfect, and he can jump straight into a fight as soon as he gets there. He punches forward with his fist and then feels an immediate pain right after. As it starts to course through his arms, he wonders if it's because of him running home on his hands, saying that his body wasn't used to using those muscles and that this is muscle soreness. He smiles, saying that he finally gets to feel it after so long. And it sure is exhilarating. Bro is addicted to DOMs. The next day at school, we see crime scene tape, and students wonder what happened and why there's so much blood. As Mew hums his way to school, he walks past all of it and heads straight into class. He slams the door open as the teacher starts to give a lecture, only for the door to hit him straight back in the face. We see the bully looking over at him. He calls him an idiot, asking what he's doing here. Mew realizes that this is the guy and slowly walks forward, standing right before him. He starts smiling, saying that he's the one. The dude asks if he's crazy, wondering where his glasses are. He puts his phone on the table before hitting him with a surprise attack, asking him if he sold his glasses, saying that without them, he's an even easier target than somebody's grandma. As blood starts to pour out onto the ground, we learn that Mew has his own rules when it comes to fighting. A fight only begins when all parties involved have shown the will to fight, and he is always ready for one. Therefore, the key lies in the opponent's intent, and the way to confirm that is by the opponent's very first strike. He starts licking the blood off his cheek and says finally. The bully asks if he's insane, wondering why he's laughing in this situation. Mew rears back his fist, immediately hitting him in the face. He then starts to feel muscle soreness once more, but it's also pain from hitting the guy. And he says that he can't believe that he forgot how weak his body was. The teacher starts yelling, asking them what the hell they are doing in class, as the other students say that a fight has broken out. The bully looks up at him and charges, saying that he's going to deal with this crazy bastard right now. Mew puts his hands up, blocking his attacks, saying that if his body was in good condition, he'd be able to avoid this. But if it's like this. He then says third and fourth, as we see little purple orbs floating from his shoulders, but they immediately dissipate, which surprises him, and he gets hit in the face. And he says that he forgot about the Earth's mana. The bully tells him to stop messing with him, and he says that he doesn't have many options here. If he can't use his arms, legs, or magic, there's only one thing left. As he starts to lower himself forward, he takes the punch directly on the forehead while smiling. We hear the sound of the bully's knuckles cracking, and he starts screaming in pain because of it. Mew says the finger bones can't possibly overcome the skull, and before he comes back from his senses, he could deal with it here. As he dashes forward, he grabs onto his arm and then headbutts him in the chest, targeting his solar plexus. The bully immediately starts to have trouble breathing, and Mew says that if he follows up right after. As he jumps, shooting straight up, hitting him with the headbutt uppercut. The bully's eyes start to go completely white as he falls to his knees in front of Mew. The other students are holding their phones out, recording this, saying that this shit's going straight on WorldStar. But they're still just surprised, asking how he won, as he always got bullied and then had to run home. As Mew looks down at the man, he says that after a fight ends and the excitement settles, there's something that he can only feel during this moment of victory. He feels the pain pulsing in the areas where he was hit and the sticky iron taste of blood seeping in his mouth. He swallows it and starts laughing, saying that this is the shit he's been missing for so many years. He takes one more glance back down at the bully, who is drooling out of the mouth, and then kneels down, thanking him. He then stretches his mouth wide open towards his ear, and we see blood and hear the sound of him chomping it off as he spits it onto the ground. The other students can't believe that he is Mike Tysoning this guy and ask what the hell just happened. He wipes his mouth for the blood, saying that it's been a while since he's had such a fun fight, and we see it. He took a chunk out of the dude's ear like it was a nugget from McDonald's. He always left his own enjoyable fight. It was his way of expressing gratitude and marking them as toys capable of providing him joy. They were given the name of his playthings. Only formidable warriors could provide him with joy through battle, naturally making his playthings a symbol of strength. However, on Earth, it was called something else. We hear in another classroom them talking about the fight that happened, and one of the students says that it's just a fight, asking why everybody is so talkative about it. The guy says there was something weird about it, and when the other dude asks what, he says that the bully got beaten up by the kid he was picking on, and then the loser got neutered, as it's a sign when vets neuter animals. We see a cat stretching, enjoying its time, as the bully is taken out on a stretcher. Mew says this sure is nice. As he watches it leave, he waves towards it. The teacher then tells him to head to his office immediately and yells, asking if he's out of his mind. Since he did that to his classmate, he raises his clipboard into the air. When he starts to swing it towards Mew, Mew smiles, saying that he can't wait for him to hit him. The teacher sees him panting with excitement and gets nervous, wondering why he's even talking to him, saying he should bring his parents. Then he shouldn't cause a scene at all and just leave early. As Mew starts walking down the street, he says that this must mean he has to return to base. Luckily, he needed time to recover from that damage anyways, and there's still a lot that he needs to do if he wants to keep fighting with this frail body. If only he could use mana. This is the power beyond humanity. In some places, it's called ki or chakra, but most gods refer to it as mana. It's a life force that exists everywhere in nature. It enables humans to become hunters in some worlds, and wizards in other ones. But on Earth, it does not exist, so magic and skills cannot be used. As he tries to gather, it dissipates, and he says that there's still no actual response. He recalls his fight from earlier, saying that he'll need to adapt to fighting without his third and fourth. We still don't know what that is yet, but he lays down on the bed, saying that recovery will take time anyways, so he should head back. As he closes his eyes, returning to his original body, he wakes up and calls up to Yang Yang saying that he's back, and we see Li Ho strangling him. While Yang Yang is recovering, Li Ho then approaches Mew, saying that he wants to take the lizard. Since he was meant to send him to another world, he might as well hand him over. Since with a dragon, he can dominate another world easily. Mew raises his hand, saying that he sure is a weird dude, and then grabs onto him using mana. Li Ho asks what the hell he's doing, and Mew starts to walk away, saying that he's going to send him to another world. It jumps to Lucifer's domain, and we see Mew stomping his way in. Lucifer senses him, and we see that Yang Yang and Li Ho are with him too. Lucifer says no, but Yang Yang says that he hasn't even got to say anything yet. Mew says yes, and that he plans to send him there, so Lucifer needs to open the gate. Lucifer asks why he gets to decide that, and Mew says it's simply because he's stronger, and if Lucifer has a problem, to take a swing at him. He starts licking his lips, saying that he'll be ready any time. Lucifer says that he's just a dumb brute with nothing but strength, but we see he's got his ear bitten off too. Mew puts his hand on Lucifer's shoulder, saying that he'll handle it himself, so step aside. Lucifer wonders what he's doing, interfering with another god's domain, since it is taboo. If a god not in charge touches it, a barrier will activate, and even if it's him, it would be too much, only for the barrier to get shattered. Lucifer realizes he forgot that he was the main character. Mew asks why it's always no, wondering why Lucifer never tries. Lucifer says that's just how the laws of the world work, and Mew releases Li Ho, telling him to go ahead and go in. Li Ho asks what's going on, and Mew says that he wanted to go to another world, and that's what it is. Li Ho then asks about the dragon. Mew tells him to go find his own Yang Yang there, since Yang Yang is his. He then starts to raise his finger to flick, flicking him straight into the other world, and he disappears in a blink. Mew says that kids these days don't want to work for anything. Mew then leaves, telling Lucifer to take good care of him. Lucifer just sits there, shaking in pure anger. Originally, Lucifer came from his own domain, planet Elmer. He was known as the first demon king and stood at the top of all life. Being arrogant, he challenged the being known as God. As we see him fighting it, he raises his hand, creating a spear out of mana that slowly grows into a gigantic sword. That's what he used to kill the god, as he pierced it through the chest. He then took the god's position, and we see the sword that's from his building. We learn that he also defeated other gods to claim the ultimate throne, and he became the god of gods. The absolute among all of them. The invincible, the supreme, catastrophic yet mythical. Pretty much anything you can think of that just tells you how badass he was. But that wasn't until he got absolutely bodied by Mew. And back to the present, as Yang Yang carries him away, Lucifer is obviously not happy. As we see Lucifer watching from above. Lucifer's face is filled with absolute anger. It's not just Lucifer's face filled with anger, as so is the bully's, as Bro is furious. He says that he must think he's tough, but he's already done for, and he's gonna call someone named Chul. As he starts ringing the phone, we see a man beating the absolute brakes off of a bag in the gym. And we are introduced to the 111th National Sports Festival middleweight champion for the youth division named Kang Chul. He notices his phone ringing, and turns towards it wondering who's calling him. Another man says that it's actually his as he walks over. Bro needs a new damn phone. We ask what's up, and we are introduced to the real Guak Chul. He has 2 years of experience and 14 sparring sessions under his belt. The bully says that he'll offer to get him a new phone, asking what he thinks. Chul thinks about it, and the smile's telling him to get to the point. It jumps to class sometime later. As the bully opens the door, he slowly walks to his seat, feeling nothing but shame. They start talking about him, asking how he's the one who ended up like this after always picking on people. Saying he acts a little tough, yet he's nothing at all, and they were scared of him for no reason. They start laughing, and he gets pissed, throwing his bag on the ground, saying that if they're going to talk shit, they should come say it to his face. A woman sighs and stands up, telling him to shut up or get out. He asks if she's out of her damn mind, and picks up a chair, asking if she wants to die. The Treninator enters the room, asking what's going on, and wonders why the class president is standing up. The woman says it's nothing, and embarrassed, sits back down. The Treninator then tells her to come see him after school, and she asks why. He says that Mew's not answering his phone, and that he wants her to go check on him, and he'll make sure to write her a recommendation for senior year. Today's an important day after all. She looks pissed as he leaves, but more so that she's just annoyed that she has to do this. She knocks on Mew's door, asking if he's there. Since there's no reply, she decides to enter. She turns the handle, surprised that it's open. On the inside, she sees bugs crawling all around the room, and Mew laying there with his eyes rolled to the back of his head, as he's under his bed. She screams, wondering if he's dead. It turns out that she actually called an ambulance, as he is now in the hospital, laying in bed. As his eyes are still white, Mew returns to the actual body, and wonders where he is, as it doesn't look like the same place that he remembers. He then feels a slight pain, and looks down, seeing the fourth in his wrist. He wonders what this is, saying that he can feel something entering his body directly through his veins, and that these are nutrients. They're being absorbed quickly, so it's helping him recover. It's not exactly magic, but the effect is impressive. He says that Earth does have some decent stuff after all. The class president notices that he's awake, wondering what exactly he finds so funny, since he's laughing as soon as he wakes up. She says that the homeroom teacher told her to go back to school, and he keeps nagging, so she's gonna head out. Mew wonders if this is the one who helped him, telling her to wait, as he has a question. She tells him to make it quick, as she has to go to the academy. He doesn't know enough about Earth, so he needs information. The most important thing is, he wants to know where he can train his body. She glares back at him, and wonders if he's just mentally ill, because bro doesn't seem all there upstairs. She says that she knows he doesn't have money, so there's a good place that's suitable for him. As bro is doing some pull-ups in the park, he lands back down, saying that this is really nice, and he's got a crazy pump. He says that this sure is some nice equipment, and back in his day, all he had for equipment was stone rolling, cliff climbing, and digging holes. It was all just simple, primitive methods, but Earthlings might be better than he thought. As he's on one of the machines, he gets hit in the back with a rock. As it falls to the ground, we hear the bully saying that he finally found him, and that he searched the whole neighborhood, wondering why the hell he's here. Mew asks if he's the one who threw it, and he says of course, and that now he's going to die since his cousin is here to beat his ass. Bro immediately gets hit in the face, and falls to the floor, screaming while holding his nose, wondering why he just sucker punched him. But of course, it's because Mew marked him as a plaything, and he starts smiling, welcoming him. Meanwhile, the gods are having their usual meeting. Poor Yang Yang. Yang Yang says that he'll start the meeting now. Since the Lord isn't here, he'll relay his message. Lucifer calls out to him in an angry tone and starts releasing killing intent, asking what the hell he thinks he's doing. Yang Yang says that he's not doing anything, and he's just delivering the message and going to leave. He clears his throat, then starts reading it, and it says that if they find someone worth fighting, to report it. That's all. They sit there in silence for a second before Lucifer slams the table, asking what the point of this even is. He's already annoyed with these pointless meetings, and now he doesn't even bother showing up. He asks if the other gods are really okay with this, but none of them say anything until one of them speaks up, saying that these meetings are supposed to ensure world stability. When an abnormality shows up that the Earth God can't handle, they're supposed to step in and deal with it, but isn't this ridiculous, as him not attending is disappointing. We are introduced to the third strongest in the divine realm. The divine arts are named So-So, but it's that 4 times. We will call her So-So. Lucifer says the real issue is that maintaining the world feels like just another game for system. It could collapse because of his reckless antics. The worst part is his so-called solutions always make things worse, asking if they remember planet Cyclops from 1,000 years ago. The 9th ranked in the demon realm, who was the god of Cyclops, starts to sweat nervously, and we get a flashback to planet Cyclops when it was being devoured by a giant void creature named Shuragoth. Some World of Warcraft type shit. It was taking chunks of the planet. Mew appeared, breaking it while enjoying the hell out of his fight, but with not a care for the planet. Lucifer says that if the gods worked together, they could have minimized the damage, but instead, he botched it, letting the creature devour part of the planet. He can't stand watching him destroy things anymore. Saying he's not fit to be a god. Yang Yang sits there feeling awkward and wonders why the hell he has to endure this, telling Mew to return soon. Back to Earth. The bully asks him if he's gone insane and if he really doesn't recognize who his cousin is, as he's a boxer, so he's finished. Chal says he's got quick fists, asking what sports he plays. Mew says he's not playing, he just fights. Chal starts laughing, asking what kind of middle school syndrome he has, and then puts his hands up, telling him he's ready and wants to see what he's got. He charges in, hitting Mew directly in the face. After he feels it connect, he is just surprised and starts sweating nervously, wondering what's the deal with this guy. He watched his punch all the way to the end and deliberately took it, with a weird smile on his face. As he continues with his creepy-ass smile, he starts licking the blood off his face, asking if this is his hand-to-hand combat. Of course, he won't ever dodge the first hit. Chal starts to get a chill running down his spine, and Mew imitates him, asking if this is how it was meant to go. Chal says that him awkwardly copying him is nothing more than a joke. As Mew closes the gap, he swings, and Chal blocks it with his hand, but it sends him flying backwards a little bit, and he asks what kind of crazy punch that was, and that the power is unreal. Mew asks if this is how it was meant to be done, and we see his hand is bulging for some reason. He explains that at the moment of impact, he tensed his arm muscles as hard as he could, which generated a lot of force, but his muscles are screaming in pain. But it's fine because he feels amazing right now. He never felt this kind of force from those weaklings who would break the moment he touched them, and he starts to take off his belt, which makes Chul wonder what in the ditty is happening. Mew says that if he wants to keep fighting, he needs to take care of his body. For now, he should try using some temporary wraps. The bully starts yelling at his cousin, asking what he's doing, since this is meant to be an easy fight. His cousin tells him to shut up and stay out of it, asking if he seriously thinks he'll lose, as he charges in. He starts attacking, which Mew blocks most of the attacks. Chul says that his guard is a total joke. Mew says the attacks are fast and precise, but they are way too predictable. As just watching the way his muscles move, he can tell exactly where he's aiming, as he starts showing that by dodging the attacks. Chul then comes in with the wide right, which Mew counters by punching his forearm, and we hear a loud snap. Chul is confused for a second before he realizes that his arm has turned into a pretzel, and he looks at it. He starts freaking out, and Mew asks if he really just called him bro, seeing that their reactions sure are fitting of somebody in the same family. He then hits him with a quick punch to the chin, causing him to fall unconscious to the floor. The bully is just surprised, and Mew starts glaring at him, asking if he would like to finish this, and he realizes that he has made a big mistake. The bully starts screaming, telling him not to get any closer, and Mew says that he doesn't have the will to fight, saying that this won't work. So he asks if he doesn't plan on fighting, tells the bully that if he admits defeat, this is where it'll end. The bully goes to do so before he gets hit straight in the face, as Mew's not going to allow him to get the words out of his mouth. He then hits him across the face once more, and then another time to the gut, which causes his tooth to fall out, then once more to his chest, and all we hear is him screaming. A bit later, the dude's face is all swollen up, and he's crying, only to get kneed in the face, as Mew's looking down at him, enjoying every minute of it, saying that he's so ruthless because he wanted to admit defeat, it's just that he didn't let him. He also bit off Chul's ear, and then walked away licking his lips, and we see him looking like one of the Bogdanov brothers. He heads back to his roach-infested room, saying that it's fun to be able to fight, but his body breaks too easily. He never thought his muscles would tear from just this, and he needs to keep this feeling going. It's a shame that the flow keeps getting interrupted. When he goes back this time, he needs to bring what he told Yang Yang about. As he starts to swap back to the realm of the divine realm, the intermission gets cut off, and he slowly opens his eyes, wondering why it's not working. We get a flashback to a few days ago in the divine realm, right after Lucifer watched Mew leave. When he was pissed, he overheard Yang Yang asking him about his trip to Earth, and how he once wanted him to get a recovery magic orb. A magic orb is an object containing magic, used on Elmer and the other two objects containing magic, used on Elmer, Lucifer's world. They are common items on planets with abundant mana, but on Earth it can only be attained through the divine blessing or whim. Therefore, only a very few could use them throughout human history, and they were regarded as beings liked by gods and humans. Yang Yang says he'd prepare one for his next trip, and Mew says he's going back immediately. This is when Yang Yang asked about the meeting, and Mew says that he's already got to prepare, since he was gonna complain, and he pulls it out of his pants, handing him what to say. He then heads over to Earth and starts to leave, while Yang Yang is tweaking. This is when Lucifer was watching from above, and he says that he doesn't know what he's plotting, but his body is empty, and if he doesn't even show up for the regular meeting, it means he has no plans to return for a while. And if that's the case, now is the time for him to strike, as it's a once-in-a-thousand-year opportunity for him to get revenge. He uses a spell called Life Taxidermy, as it starts to create a magic circle in his hand. A lot of purple spikes begin to target Yang Yang from all over, and Yang Yang realizes it and flaps backward, escaping the attack. As it starts to land around him, as if it was imprisoning him, Yang Yang asks what he thinks he's doing, and if this is a declaration of war against the Earth God. Lucifer starts to fly, saying that he will expel the Earth God from the seat of divinity, and that this is war. Yang Yang starts to charge up a laser attack and shoots it straight out of his throat, as it flies towards Lucifer. Lucifer swats it away like it was a bug, and it begins to swirl around the divine realm until it explodes on the corner of it. Soso casts an ability called Self-Defense Aura around everybody besides Lucifer, as the attack starts to come in. Damn, that thing is huge, and it scorches the entire area that was not protected by her barrier. Yang Yang then releases his polymorph, changing from a small dragon into an absolutely gigantic one. Did not expect the giant kaiju transformation. Lucifer tells Yang Yang he's gonna deal with him now, and then after him will be his master. Yang Yang tells Lucifer that there is not going to be an after. So, lets out a sigh, saying that this is not the right atmosphere for a meeting. As we see Yang Yang has been impaled by Lucifer's attacks, she says that she's going to leave. Lucifer tells her to wait, asking which side she's on, and if she supports the exposure, or if she's against it. She says it doesn't matter, and that they can mark her as neutral. Lucifer says that she should just stay out of the way, because if anyone else here opposes that, they should step forward now, and he will handle them himself. Yang Yang asks if he really thinks he can defeat Mu. Lucifer begins laughing, asking if he means the same man who took over the body of a weak earthling. Yang Yang surprised that he actually knew, and Lucifer says that complacency in his strength and neglecting vigilance is what truly lead to this. Yang Yang starts to slither his tail, buying some time, and says that he won't let him get away with this, as he starts to wrap it around Lucifer. Lucifer in an instant blinks out of his tail's grasp, slicing all the way down until he gets to his back, and tells him to stay put, cutting his tail off. As long as he's alive, he can still get to Earth, and once he is there, he will destroy his weakened master completely. He then starts cackling while Yang Yang just shakes while panicking. On Earth, Chul is doing the same thing, as the coach is yelling at him as the competition is just around the corner, and that people who train shouldn't get in fights. He just wants to know if he's trying to quit now. Chul apologizes, and the coach tells him that he shouldn't come back until his arm is healed, and he should get out of his sight. Chul says if only it wasn't for that bastard, and he bumps into Kang Chul, who I'm going to call Casey. Casey looks down at him, asking what happened to his arm. Chul wonders how to explain it, and says that Casey is the best boxer in their gym, and that he might be able to do something about Mu. He says that the kids these days are terrifying, and he starts crying, saying that his younger brother was being bullied, so he tried to step in and reason with them, but they ganged up on him and beat the hell out of him, and left his arm and ear in this state, and the competition's next month as well. Casey says that he should have been more careful before the competition, and instead of fighting, he could have done an extra sparring session. Chul cuts the tears, saying this isn't helping at all. Then Casey tells him that there is one more thing. Bro is using eye drops, that's crazy. He quickly hides them, wondering if he noticed that he was fake crying, but Casey's face is absolutely pissed, asking who did this to him. Back to Mu in the shitty room, wondering why he's not returning. He says this is strange, and there's only one scenario where he couldn't, and that is when the original body is damaged. His body should be protected by Yang Yang, and even if it's not Yang Yang, there aren't many things that could harm his body. He says that all of the gods could have joined forces to attack him, and if that's the case, there's no time to waste here. He starts shaking, saying that he can't believe them, and he punches his bed, saying that this can't happen. It's been so long since they dared to challenge him, and he has to fight them all. Fighting them all together would be so fun, and he hopes that he can go back and they'll fight him. He isn't even worried about his body dying. Bro smashes his entire bed out of rage, and he decides to calm down, saying that even if they all attacked at once, Yang Yang isn't someone who'd go down easily, but he can't just sit around and do nothing, so he'll just do what he can. The next day he heads to the park and starts training, and he says that he's going to keep focusing on strengthening his muscles other than his arm. He's going to use the muscles that he normally doesn't, and he can feel them screaming in pain. He really loves the feeling of muscle soreness. He starts laughing while doing his hanging sit-ups, and the other people in the park say this dude's a freak, wondering where he came from. We see the class president, and she screams out, which catches him off guard, and he falls down onto the ground. She then walks up over to him, asking why he's not coming to school. A bit later, they sit at the bench, and he asks if he really has to, as it's not exactly a place for training his body. She asks what he wants to do then, and he says that he wants to get stronger, which is why he's training. She asks why he wants to do that, and he tells her that he wants to fight better, and he's too weak to fight at all right now. His body is completely untrained, and his arm is already screwed, although he only got into a few fights. She says that he's insane, and he's only been rambling about fighting for hours, as the sun's starting to set. She wonders how she's supposed to get him to come to school. Then she realizes it, saying that she's wondering what the point would be if there's nobody to fight. He's just working out here by himself, and nobody's going to challenge him. He needs to meet people, stir up conflicts, and then he'll have people to fight. Starting tomorrow, he should just come to school and stop making this her problem. He realizes that she has a point, and that they probably won't show up again to fight him, so he'll need to go find stronger people himself, and that he should maybe start heading back to school and see how it goes. We then see a man approaching him, calling out to him, as we recognize it as Casey's voice. Bro is in some weird airsoft gear, asking if he's him. Mew sighs, saying seriously, and that Earth is the best, as he smiles, watching the punch come straight in. We get a little bit more of lore on Casey. At 15 years old, it was when he started to stand out in boxing. His sister was a rising rookie ballerina, and we see him in the crowd super happy at her performance, and she had a crazy stalker. His obsession got very severe, and eventually he crossed the line as he followed her one night and attacked her. But luckily, Casey was there and hit him with a quick punch to the chin, knocking him out and stopped the crime. But because he stopped it too early, the perpetrator didn't receive proper punishment, and the obsession only grew stronger since he had failed, and he became even more dangerous as he came back with a knife. But this time too, he managed to prevent the crime, but he wasn't as fast as before. As the stalker actually got a cut on his sister's leg, ending her career as a ballerina. After that, he no longer trusted the law and decided to do what the law could not. So he beat the shit out of the guy, but it wasn't just him. Secretly, he had become a vigilante at night, and that is what his little get-up is for. He made those who showed signs of becoming criminals pay the price in advance. For him, fighting is none other than judgment. As we are back to the present, Mew takes the hit straight in the face but manages to keep his footing. He says that his punches are light and that he might be testing him. Even so, the fact remains that he attacked, and thought that it would be tough to find fights for a while, but he sure is lucky. Casey asks why he goes around beating people up and if he wants to become a thug. Mew tells him that he's not actually a fan of small talk. We see that he has a little anger meter, and he's at the first of 3 levels. He charges forward, telling him to try his best. He starts punching towards Mew, but Mew is bobbing and weaving. He smirks as one of the punches grazes his cheek, and Casey tells him he dodges well. As the plan was to block his field of vision and come in with the punch from where he was obscured. Casey is surprised as Mew blocked it, and tells him that he blocks well too. He tells him to keep his guard up as he comes in for another attack, which Mew blocks. He starts getting absolutely thrashed around. Mew says that this bastard is only attacking the spots that have been damaged previously. He's even going around his guard with his longer reach, attacking his sides as well. This attack starts to send Mew sliding a bit, so he creates some distance. Casey says that his arm must not be responding anymore, since no matter how injured he is, the judge will show no mercy. Mew begins laughing, and Casey wonders what's wrong with him and gets his second bar of his rage meter, asking if he's really laughing. Mew says that this guy can't be beaten, at least not with how he is, but that doesn't mean he can waste the opportunity to fight. He can't win just by enjoying it. He needs to be cautious, calm, and he can't smile. He couldn't always win even if it was nothing, but still, he always found it enjoyable. But he refused to lose. As he always desired to win, so he would do everything he could to calm his emotions and assess the enemy and fight strategically rather than with brute force. Bro actually has a lock-in switch. As we see him dodge an attack, he quickly closes the gap, and he says the more he thought and he grew stronger and stronger. As the monster he's fighting bruises his fist back, it comes in hitting him across the face, and he says that his suppressed emotions allowed him to be more rational, but despite all of that, sometimes he couldn't stop the joy from leaking out. So when he wanted to win, he suppressed his emotions even more, and he forced himself to look sulky. As he starts to make a sad face, Casey wonders what the hell is going on, but this pisses him off to the fullest, as he is now maxed out with rage, and he runs forward, telling him to stop fooling around. He starts swinging towards Mew, but Mew dodges his attacks until he's backed up into a tree. He then plants his foot firmly against the ground, kicking dirt straight up towards Casey. Casey puts his hand up, blocking it, and says that throwing dirt in someone's eyes is something that only a criminal in the making would do, and it sure is predictable. Why did he cover his eyes when he has goggles? Mew lowers his head and looks back up with his sulky face, asking what he's waiting for, telling him to keep going. Bro's anger meter is overflowing, and he swings directly towards Mew's face, faster than we've ever seen before. Mew sidesteps it, and Casey immediately gets behind him. He tries it once more, but again, it narrowly grazes his chin, and Mew says that for him to aim for the chin, this just might work in his favor. He says, bare-knuckle fighting existed in his time as well. If there was a difference from the two guys he fought before, it's that their fighting style was far more defensive. The reason for that was the ground. The ground was filled with countless variables, making it difficult to fight while moving vigorously. Perhaps the evolution of flattened ground and footwear allowed the fighters of today to become more aggressive with the aggressive tendencies, and knowing exactly where he's aiming for, it becomes easy to guide his movements towards where he wants. Casey starts pivoting it around with his footwork, dancing all around Mew, but not a single attack is landing. He says ultimately, if he makes a move more, the chances of the variables he set up earlier occurring increase, as he steps on one of the pebbles that messes with his footwork, and when that brief opening appears, Mew will strike his vital spot as he comes in with his fist reared back. He notices something as he's swinging, and he hits Casey in the face. He says his arm isn't responding, and he tried using his elbow in a pinch, but all it did was narrowly crack his goggles and piss him off. Mew starts laughing, telling him that he missed, only for Casey to hit him straight in the leg with his baton. Mew falls to the floor, and Casey asks him if this is fun for him or something, and that he'll probably keep doing the same thing and laughing like this in the future, and he'll make sure he won't laugh anymore, as he raises his baton into the air. He swings down, and Mew says he lost, and he wonders how long it's been since he last faced defeat. He says it's nearly been 4,000 years, and something hits Casey straight in the side of the head, and rolls into the nearby trees. Casey wonders if someone else was nearby, and we hear it yell out, "Master." Casey realizes this is bad, undoes his hoodie on his waist, and puts it on, quickly running away from the crime scene. We see a familiar little foot, as it says "Master" once more. Mew turns, surprised, wondering what Yang Yang is doing here. Flashback to the divine realm, Mew's original body is floating up in an imprisonment created by Lucifer. Lucifer says that this guy can no longer return to his body. It's a completely severed space, so even his soul cannot enter. Now all he has to do is open the Earth's barrier, and we see Yang Yang also imprisoned with his arms handcuffed. He says once he deals with him, he'll give Yang Yang the position of Earth God, telling him to cooperate. Yang Yang takes some breaths. Yang Yang starts panting, and Lucifer asks him what he's thinking about, telling him to speak up, because he can't read his damn thoughts. Yang Yang says that if the barrier is stopping Mew from getting to his body, he wonders if that means that no attack can get through. Lucifer says that's correct. Nothing he does will work. He should just do as he was told and take the position being offered. Yang Yang says that it's good to know that attacks won't work, and Lucifer's confused, and turns only to see Yang Yang start to group up all of his mana in his chest, as he's preparing for a massive explosion. He calls him a lunatic, because the explosion is directly within Lucifer's domain, shattering the sword in the building, obliterating even a little part of the divine realm. We see something escaping from the smoke, as it's none other than the little Yang Yang we saw on Earth. He says he used up all of his strength, and he's in a terrible state, and he needs to quickly get there and inform Master of the situation, as he's running straight towards it. Lucifer starts coming from the smoke, calling him a little lizard bastard, and Bro is pissed, saying that he's going to kill him and his master together. He throws one of his magical spears forward, directly towards Yang Yang. Why'd they draw his butthole? Yang Yang jumps over the throne, as that's what it pierces into, and hops into Earth. As he starts falling from the sky, Bro looks like he's tweaking, and he's getting closer and closer, and that's when he hit Casey straight in the side of the head, and rolled into the forest. He says that's pretty much what happened, and he's sorry. Now that the recap's over, Mew sits there, gritting his teeth, and he looks furious, saying that he can't believe Lucifer would do this. But we see that his anger immediately turns into happiness, saying that what he couldn't believe was that he pretended like he wouldn't want to fight, but he's more than ready to. And he can't believe that he would hide this from him, and that he needs to get as strong as possible so he can fight with this body. As he punches the air, he feels his wrist have a very sharp pain in it, and he says at this rate, he won't be able to use it for a while. He then asks Yang Yang if he brought it, and Yang Yang says that he did bring the magic orb, as there's no way he'd forget. He then starts to spit that thing up, which is absolutely disgusting, and he says that this is a dragon bloodstone. It's a one-time healing spell. If he had known this would happen, he'd have brought more with him when he could have. Mew grabs onto it, saying that this is more than enough. As he starts absorbing it, the orb begins to disintegrate in his hand, and we see the scar on his arm as it starts to heal itself. He's then surprised, saying that this isn't just a simple healing spell. As we see his muscles bulging, he says that his muscles have become more sensitive, and this might be a body enhancement spell. Yang laughs, saying that he infused his own magic into the bloodstone after all, and he put some effort into it. Mew says there's still some of the orb left, and he guesses it didn't use much mana since it's a human body. And it looks like they can use it one more time. He tells Yang that he should be the one to use it. Yang puts it into his mouth, saying that he'll keep it for later, and then swallows it once more. Then it jumps to a little lizard. What a cool transition, as we see the class president with her little buddy named Dooley. She says he's as cute as ever today. If only they could talk, they could chat and play together every day. She tells him to behave while she's gone, as she leaves to go to school. She tells him bye, saying that she'll see him later. At school, the bully is sitting there even more bodied than last time. Bro looks like an entirely different person. He's dedicated to studying now. He says being a bully never suited him to begin with, and instead of messing around, he should study and get his life on track. The door slams open, which startles him, and he immediately starts sweating away, hoping that Mew doesn't bother him. Mew asks him if he wants to have a match, and the class president says that it seems like he showed up today. He says that he was convinced by what she said, and we see Yang hiding in his shirt. He smiles, saying that he's gonna look for someone to fight. As he says surely he's not up to something weird, telling him good luck while sweating nervously. We get another cool transition as we see the bully studying, and right below it are some students talking. One of them being Casey, and a woman asks if he heard. He asks what she's talking about, and she says that she asked if he knows about the second year neuterization. She says that there was a kid in second year who was getting bullied, and she keeps yapping while Casey listens. He asks what the kid who was getting bullied did, and she tells him that he bit the dude's ear off. That's why people are calling him the neuterizer. Casey says that kid sounds a lot like Mew, and he wonders if that means Chul was lying to him or something. And he gets pissed off, saying that he almost beat up the wrong guy for no reason, though he did hit him a little. As Mew's right behind him, he says that he got no fights today, and everyone's just too busy scribbling away, and nobody wants to scrap. And he might as well go train back at the park. He then spots Casey in front of him and recognizes his arm, saying that based on the size and placement of the muscles, it's the same. And he yells, saying that he's the guy from yesterday. Casey is surprised, and Mew starts charging directly at him. He starts running away, and the girl that he was with is just confused. Casey wonders what the hell is his deal, and if he's chasing him because he knows it's him. Then wonders how he would know in the first place when he wrapped up his face so tightly. Of course, he's mistaking it, saying that he might be trying to report him to the police, but Mew's just a freak. He turns into an alley, saying that he's gonna lose him. And when Mew turns the corner, he doesn't see him anymore, wondering where he went. He says that this is the perfect situation to fight. Yang pops up out of his shirt, asking if he's looking for the guy from yesterday, saying that he definitely smelled a strong male scent when he bumped into him yesterday, and that if he follows that. As he starts sniffing the floor, he runs into somebody's shoe. There's a different smell. He looks up, confused, as we see the class president looking down at him. She stares for a couple seconds before blushing, because she likes scaly friends. Yang asks her what's wrong with her, telling her to move aside. She immediately reaches toward him, picking him up off the ground. Then he starts squeaking, asking what she's doing, and if she even knows who he is. He says that if only he could use magic, he could easily get out of her grasp. But she's just surprised that a talking lizard actually exists, saying that it's so cute, and that it's maybe even cuter than Dooley. Yang manages to escape her hands, running back over to Mew. He apologizes, saying that if only he hadn't lost his power. And then she looks directly up at him, asking if that thing is his friend by any chance. Mew says that she could call him one, a very obedient one. We finally learn that her name is Kim Yujin. Right now she's feeling jealous. Mew can tell, and raises his leg while Yang's grabbed onto it, asking if she wants to borrow him. Poor Yang Yang. Both he and her are surprised by this. A bit later, we see Yang Yang in her room as she sits in a chair. She wonders if maybe it's mad. Before this, Mew picked up Yang Yang, saying that there's someone he's looking for, and that if she helps, he will let her borrow him. She folded under absolute zero pressure, and Yujin said she would do it. Mew then threw him forward, and Yang Yang can't believe he was betrayed and landed directly on Yujin's head. Mew tells Yang Yang to stay with her for a bit, and come back on his own. Yang Yang asks where he's going. Mew looks down at his fist, saying that he's going back to the park. Yang Yang introduces himself, saying that he is the secretary who assists his master. As master has instructed, she is to actively cooperate with him from now on. He reaches up his hand to shake with her, and she can feel nothing but pain in her chest because she's getting a cuteness overload. She shakes his hand, saying that she'll help, and believe it or not, she's actually the class president. Yang Yang asks what that means, and she says that it means that she is the leader of the class, and ranked first in her grade. He says now he understands, and master didn't choose Yujin for no reason. Then he asks if that means that his master isn't the leader. She says that he's actually not that high up. He's just surprised, saying that's completely impossible, as he is the strongest being, and he can't believe this, and if she's the leader of her class, then Mew would be the Earth leader. Turns out that's how we got the name. Pretty cool. He asks if she understands, saying from now on she needs to do her best to make sure that he becomes the strongest. She agrees, but tells him that she has one condition, as he has to visit her house often. Yang Yang says this worked out well, and he was planning to use her to gather information anyways about the Earth. He tells her it sounds good, and for master this is not a big deal. He starts thinking that he's done such a good job, and he's proud of himself, telling him not to worry, as he will help him reclaim his title of the strongest. Back at the park, Mew's doing one-armed handstand push-ups on the monkey bars. He finishes a rep and hops down off of them, saying that he's definitely gotten stronger. The orb really did have a physical enhancement effect. As his torn muscles recover, he can feel himself getting stronger every single time. At this level, he might be able to push himself a lot more. As he rears back his fist, he swings, hitting the metal pole for the monkey bars. We hear it make a loud sound, and he then raises his knuckles up and blows them off, saying that he's pretty satisfied with this. He then looks around the park, wondering if Casey is not going to show up today. Since he goes to the same school as him, he'll probably run into him again. Bro actually dented the bar. That's crazy work. That night, as he was walking back home, he starts to smell a sweet scent as it flows through the air past Yujin's house. We see that she's actually shopping for clothes, maybe for Mew. Yang Yang gets a whiff of the smell, saying that it's the scent of his master's body. He tells her that he'll drop by often, and that's all for today. As he hops off her balcony, he plops down onto a sign nearby, landing on Mew's shoulder after. He says that he has completely won her over. As they are walking by an alley, we see somebody getting their shit absolutely rocked. Yang Yang says that he's made Yujin his subordinate, and she will also be loyal to him. He then gets a whiff, saying that it's the smell he's been looking for. As we see Casey was the one in the alley. And the man tells him that he's making a mistake, and he's heard about somebody going around beating people up for crime. He warns him that he's wanted by the police, and that he'll send people after him. As Casey kicks him in the face, he says that criminal scum sure do talk a lot. Mew appears behind him, saying that he's finally found him. Casey turns, only to see Mew. Yang Yang is pointing behind him, saying that there is a really good smell coming from over there. But Mew is just ignoring him, staring directly at Casey. Casey begins to sweat nervously, and as Mew walks forward, Casey tells him to wait a second, as there's been a misunderstanding, and he has no intention of fighting. As Mew charges at him, he puts his hands up, saying that this is bad. Mew immediately gets right up close and smiles within his face, but obviously, Casey doesn't want the fight, and since Mew always takes the first hit, they both sit there just staring at one another in their stances. Mew is not planning on launching the first attack, and Casey has no intention of doing so. The dude that was getting his shit cooked pulls Casey's baton out. Casey turns after realizing, and the man swings it directly towards him. Casey pivots his feet, dodging the attack to the side, and it flies directly towards Mew. Casey realizes now that since he dodged, it's going to hit him in the face, and Mew looks up at it and takes the hit directly on the side of his head. He says that he hit him first, and then kicks the dude straight in the pelvis, sending the baton flying in the air. Mew then catches it, and as the guy is reeling from pain, Mew puts it behind his head and pulls him forward, meeting him with a headbutt while smiling heavily. While the guy is screaming in pain, Mew rears his fist back and starts hitting him all over his chest, and the dude is tweaking. Mew hits him again in the chest, and then smacks his leg, causing him to fall on the floor in pain, and bro is starting to struggle to breathe. Mew smiles and looks down at him, and then realizes that this isn't even a fight, and it's boring. He says when he first arrived on Earth, it had been so long that just feeling the impact was fun. But if it's this one-sided and it's no different from before, so it has to at least be Casey. He then thinks about it and turns, wondering where exactly he went. Yang is tweaking. We see, as soon as Mew kicked the guy in the stomach, Casey began running, asking how he keeps finding him. He then got one glimpse of Mew smiling like a pervert, and while he was running, Yang was smelling a good meal and got caught in a traffic accident, and got straight hit and run. That's why he was on the ground bugging. Casey opens the door back to his house and takes his shoes off, wondering what Mew finds so fun about fighting. His sister then opens the door, saying that the family prosecutor has arrived, and she says that she locked up another criminal today. We are introduced to his sister, Kang Yun-ah, and after the stalking case, she decided to swap from being a ballerina to a prosecutor. She tells her brother to get out of the way, and bumps into his shoulder, and asks if she's hurting. She says that he didn't even flinch, and then starts to tell him what she wants to eat, which annoys him. He says that he guesses it doesn't faze her anymore. Ever since that day, the only thing he feels when throwing a punch is anger. It wasn't like this when he first started boxing. Back then, even he truly enjoyed it. The next day at school, we see Mew carrying the baton, and Yang apologizes to him, saying that he was just too hungry yesterday. The bully is there, as we see him in the back, and they all start staring at Yang, wondering if that's a Komodo dragon. Mew then spots Yujin in front of him and calls out to her. She turns and starts pogging out of her gourd, telling Yang hi. Mew asks if he already told her, and if she remembers that before, when he told her he was looking for someone, if she helps, he'll lend Yang to her. She says she has an idea. If it's the scenario where he's covering his face and picks fights, then it's the vigilante. He asks what that is, and she says that it's someone who beats up delinquents, and he's known for beating up anybody who acts like one. But she wonders why he's fighting, and if he's a delinquent, and he says that he has no idea what that even is, but he keeps running away, and next time, he won't let him escape. As we see him directly behind him. Casey whispers in his ear, telling him to wait until after school, as he'll come find him. Mew gets the chills, as that low-key freaked him out. Yujin then asks if they know each other. He says that's the vigilante, and he starts smiling while in class, saying as long as he can fight, he can wait however long it takes. As we see his legs shaking, he says that holding back is actually pretty rough. Yang is holding on for dear life. As school's hours end, the teacher ends class. Mew hands Yang to Yujin, saying that he has something to do, so she should take him with her. She starts smiling while hugging onto him. I think he is dead. She starts to head out of the room, still sparkling all the way through him. Casey puts his hand on the door, and Mew says that he waited. Casey says that he's glad he waited quietly, and starts to put on some gloves. Mew wonders if maybe he's wrapping his hands like the Greeks do, and Casey asks him if he likes fighting that much. Mew says that he's got it wrong. It's not that he likes it, it's the pain, and the impact from hitting, and getting hit, and the screams of the muscles used to move. From the past until now, only fighting has made him feel alive, so he has no other choice besides to fight. Casey says that his expression doesn't match what he's saying, and he reaches into his bag, and throws him a pair of gloves too. They hit Mew in the face, and then he catches them. Casey tells him to put them on, as he drops his bag. Mew immediately does so, and charges forward. Casey says that he can't seriously beat up a guy who's not a bully. Mew swings first, which Casey blocks. He says that this bastard sure is impatient, but there's no need to get angry, as he came here to fight in the first place. And he wonders if maybe he just has a bad habit of getting overly emotional. They create some distance from one another, and he says that he needs to think of it like a match. He shouldn't let his body get stiffened, and he needs to stay relaxed. As soon as he gets into a relaxed position, Mew closes the gap with his fist reared back. Casey replies with a punch straight to his face, and immediately follows up with a left as well. Casey says this feels great. If he just keeps relaxing and using the rotational force from his body, and transfers it to his hands, this is all he has to do. And he starts feeling it on his hands, saying that this is fun, and this is the boxing that he's missed. Mew says that if he didn't have physical reinforcements, this could have been dangerous. But now it's getting manageable, and he's starting to find this truly addicting, and he can't stop loving fighting. It then jumps to some student sleeping at his desk, and then he has that weird jolt awake thing that you sometimes have. And we learn that it's during night self-study. He wipes the drool away from his face, and notices a chocolate bar. Somebody left him a letter asking why he's always sleeping when they come in, jokingly calling him Snorlax. He looks at the time, saying that he won't be late, and he grabs his chocolate bar and starts heading out and taking a bite. We learn that his name is Lee Hedgen, and he is 20 years old. As he's walking by the classroom, he can't help but overhear the sound of feet, and he spots Mew and Casey fighting. Mew raises his leg, placing it on Casey's chest, and then pushes himself into the air, kicking him at the head. Casey says this is boxing, asking why he's kicking. Mew says that he doesn't even know what boxing is, and he leaps once more, asking why the rule says that he can only fight using his fist. He kicks Casey straight in the face, and Casey manages not to fall over. Mew then immediately follows up with a kick to his arm, and starts taking the tempo of the fight. Casey smiles, saying that he didn't realize kicks could be so heavy. Mew then goes for an inside thigh kick, and Casey realizes this is bad, as if his lower body collapses, he'll be in an awful spot. So he instinctively raises his leg forward, but the blow is very light, so it takes no toll on him. He then backpedals to create some distance, and Mew says with this, it's over, because Yang Yang's physical reinforcement effect has now ended. Casey realizes something's up, and asks if he's finally out of strength. Both Mew and Casey begin laughing hysterically, but Casey's becomes completely overwhelming, as Bro is cackling at the top of his lungs. We see Hedgen peeking through the door, and he looks pissed that they're laughing while fighting. He calls them pathetic, saying that when he sees people like that, it disgusts him. Casey charges back in, and Mew raises his knee, saying that he'll take a defensive approach. Casey rears back his fist and punches straight in, hitting Mew's knee on the inside. It starts making Mew spin like a ballerina, and Casey hits him straight across the face, causing him to fall backwards into the wall. Mew says with this body, he still can't overcome his muscles, and if only he could at least use the third one. But then he thinks about it and gets an idea. He starts to stand back up and begins trying to cast the third one once more, and then squeezes his fist as he immediately closes the gap with it reared back. Casey says he's still lively and catches his fist, saying that he thought only his kicks were light, but his punches are even lighter. As some wind starts to swirl behind Casey, he turns, surprised, only for Mew to come in with a clean punch to his chin, causing his brain to rattle. He starts to feel dizzy, saying that the punch was so weak, and he just needs to focus back in. The wind swirls again behind him, and he turns, wondering what the hell is going on, only to get headbutted this time straight to the face. As he falls backward into the door, Mew says that he's glad this works, and he explains that the way to use magic by gathering mana is to condense the mana drifting around into one place. But when gathering mana, it's not only mana that reacts. Many things in the atmosphere, like dust and oxygen, react together. As a result, the impurities incinerate by the condensed mana, leaving only pure mana behind. However, if one gathers mana on Earth, where mana doesn't exist, only the air gets condensed, and without being burned away, bursts as it releases. He says that he never thought he'd use it like this, and that Casey sure is pretty interesting. He starts drooling while leaning over towards his ear. Casey puts his hand on his face, asking him if he's trying to neuter him too, saying that is not happening, and he admits he lost, but he shouldn't cross the line. But he has something to say, and he starts struggling to speak, saying that he'll see him next time as he wobbles out. Mew looks a bit disappointed that he didn't get to Mike Tyson him. And that night, at Eugen's house, we see Yang Yang with a little backpack kit, as she says this should be good enough, and if he needs anything else, just ask. He says he will, and he starts waddling away, and spots Casey, who says he forgot his bag. Yang remembers when he got caught in the hit and run, and starts to get pissed, saying that he won't just sit and take it. As Casey's head is still ringing, he spots Yang leaping off the bag, flying straight towards his head. Casey screams, and hits him with a counter, because his reaction speed is hella quick. Yang's taking L after L, and he wonders if that's a dog, saying that should look weird. He then starts waddling away. As Mew approaches Yang, he looks down at him, confused about what happened. The next day, we see Mew wearing a new outfit, which is what Yujin gave him. Yang asks if it fits well, saying that, thanks to him getting close with Yujin, she's acting as his subordinate, and this way, it's better for him to not stand out and stay hidden. Casey across the street spots him and calls out to him, saying that it's Saturday, wondering why he's wearing his school uniform. Mew asks what Saturday is, and Casey wonders if he's just slow in the brain. He says that he has something to tell him anyways, and this is perfect. He asks if he likes fighting. Mew says that he only does it because he has to, but Casey says there's no way anyone would believe that after seeing his expression, and he asks if he wants to tag along with him, because if he does, he won't have to worry about getting bored from a lack of fights. Mew freezes up, and starts to smile and laugh, saying that he sure is a good guy, and that he should take him to a place where he can fight right away. Casey says that he didn't mean he could fight right now, and Mew says that he can't believe he deceived him, asking if he's a good guy. Even Yang is pissed, and Casey tells him just to listen. Friday morning at Wild Goose High School, which is a separate high school, in one of the restrooms, we see that they're having somebody guard the door, telling people to leave. And inside the restroom, we see a man talking to a familiar face, as this is the guy who was getting beat in the alleyway. And the dude's pissed that he made so little money. We are introduced to Yang Zhou. Broccoli says that it's all because of the vigilante, and if he had just sold the bike, he could have made more. Yang Zhou gets pissed and slams the wall, saying that if he has to pay back both the principal and interest, this won't do, and that they need to call everybody. It jumps to Saturday evening now, as we see Casey and Mew together. Casey says that he used to swing recklessly out of sheer frustration when beating up delinquents, but after fighting him, he feels like he might actually enjoy it. Mew says that wouldn't it be better to fight him rather than wasting his time on the other ones. Casey tells him that there's no need for words. Sooner or later, they're having a rematch, so he shouldn't worry about it. Mew asks what the hell's going on over there, as we see a ton of smoke. Casey turns and starts to smell it, saying that it's from cigarettes, and he wonders how much they are smoking for it to be this thick. And he puts on his getup, saying that this is very highly likely to be some delinquents. These dudes are vaping up a storm. Casey appears in the smoke, and we hear one of the men inside asking someone to give them more belongings. Casey asks if they're mugging someone. One of the dudes asks him who the hell he is and smacks his cheek, telling him to take out his wallet too. Casey immediately retaliates with a punch straight to the dude's face. His friend realizes what's going on and yells, telling everybody that it's the vigilante, as we see that they were bullying a woman. Casey says there's a lot more of them than he expected, and he tells Mew to help. Does bro just have underwear on his head? Casey runs straight into the crowd, and Mew says that he wants to fight, but he needs someone to hit him for him to start. The guy who got hit originally grabs his leg and pinches him, asking him if he's with him. Mew says that he started it first, and then he rears back his fist, and he has now officially joined the fight. They quickly make light work of these dudes, helping the victim, and Mew says their attitude screams delinquent, but their bodies are weak as hell, and their muscle condition is at an average human level, but strangely their respiratory systems are in the worst possible state. Casey reaches down towards the woman's belongings, asking if she's okay, and we recognize her as the woman that was hanging out with Casey, and she's crying with her face red. He starts to get pissed, and even more people appear, and Yang tells him to look behind him. As it was a trap to lure out the vigilante, and we see Yang Zhou, saying that they finally got him. Casey says that he was trying not to get mad and pulls out his baton, but Mew's just happy to see so many people, and this is exactly what he wanted. It's his absolute favorite. Yang Zhou yells, telling his men to finish them off, as they start to run in. Mew begins going full crazy, saying that he has a full-on brawl. Mew doesn't hesitate, immediately hitting Broccoli in the face and eye patch in the stomach and whoever the hell that is in the face. He starts laughing, saying this is fun, as Yang Zhou grabs the side of his head and slams him straight down into the concrete below. He asks whether there are two vigilantes, and he wonders what's going on. Hejin says that took longer than he thought, and he wonders why somebody's not answering their phone. He spots the brawl across the street and sees Yang Zhou standing over Mu. He says that these idiots are always at it with their street fights, asking if they have time to spare or something. In the far corner, he spots the girl, and he starts to get pissed. We learn that Hejin's father was a mixed martial arts champion. To him, his father was always a strong man. We see a needle drop to the ground, and his father kept getting stronger and stronger, and at some point, it seemed like he had completely lost his mind. Bro was doping hella bad. His father wasn't just strong in the ring, he was also strong at home. In Hejin's eyes, his father looked like a monster. His mother escaped to get away from the violence, but Hejin could not run. So while he was constantly getting beat, his little sister watched from the closet. Even when his body was covered in wounds, he endured because he had to. He faced the monster, and he kept his eyes locked onto him every single time he fought. He watched and endured and protected. By the time he had grown to match his father, it finally happened, and he fought back against him because he feared for his life. To him, fighting was survival. His father called him ungrateful, saying that he's gonna kill him and his sister with his bare hands. And that day, he killed his father. He committed the crime of murder. The court took pity on him and his circumstances. After spending a year in juvenile detention, he returned to school, and after school, he worked to support himself and his sibling. He couldn't afford to be sick or injured, as his body was his fortune for him and his sibling, and he swore to never treat his body carelessly. And that's why he felt so much disgust when he saw Mu and Yang fighting, and that he vowed he would never act like them. But when he spotted his little sister, who we learn is named Daljin, being a part of this, his face starts to snap, and Yang Zhou looks down at Mu, calling him a knockoff. He wonders if the real vigilante isn't here. Hejin comes up behind, giving him a calf kick, causing him to instantly drop down to the floor, hitting his knees. Hejin grabs his head and slams him straight down into the concrete. Yang asks Mu if he's okay. Then Hejin steps on him, poor Yang, and dashes towards his sister. Casey notices him coming from the back, as he starts sending the dudes flying. He grabs two of the dudes' heads in front of him and slams them both into a nearby wall each, and he calls them all disgusting bastards, saying they shouldn't have crossed the line. Casey tells him to wait a second, and Daljin calls out to her brother. Casey turns, surprised that she had a brother. Hejin instantly closes the gap, and Casey realizes it and goes to swing, but Hejin ducks underneath it, putting his hand on his chest and throws him backwards. He then grabs Daljin's arm, telling her it's time to get out of here. Her wallet falls out of her jacket onto the ground. Hejin realizes that Yang Zhou is back up to standing again. Yang Zhou asks him where the hell he thinks he's going, and if he's another vigilante. Hejin rears back his fist, but someone else beats him to it, as Mu comes straight in with a punch, hitting Yang Zhou straight in the face, sending him flying. Hejin is confused and runs straight past him with his sister, as Mu is laughing. Casey tells him to cover his face, as Yang Zhou starts to stand back up. He watches them both running away. He just gets pissed that they just got walked on like this. A little later, we see Casey drawing the guy they saw earlier, and he tells them that his name is Yang Zhou, and he's one of the well-known delinquents around here. And that there are mainly 3 of them. The White Goose is Yang Zhou, Cuckoo High School has Dugwon, and Whistle High has Chunggu. Together, people call them the God Ori, which is a 3-card combination of some kind of Korean game. I don't understand it. But Casey says that even though they're delinquents, they never really cause trouble. But recently, more and more guys have been robbing people in the streets, and he was wondering why. And it turns out every single one of them is someone he beat up recently for mugging. And that Yang Zhou, who's acting like their leader, seems like he's the mastermind behind all of it. Mu asks why he's talking about all this, saying that he's nobody, and asks what a delinquent is or mugging, and what the hell is a God Ori. Me too bro. Casey gets pissed, asking if his brain is just for decoration. And Yang pops out of the bag, saying he's endured enough, and calls him a bastard. Saying that he can't take it anymore, and he's tired of him talking to his master like that. Casey just wonders why the hell there's a talking frog. Mu says that Yang's his friend. And Casey says that he's kind of suspicious. He doesn't even have common basic sense, which is weird, and he has a talking frog with him. And he starts to have an idea of what he is. Mew laughs, saying he's sharp for a human, and that he is a god. But Casey thought he was an alien. Casey calls him a dumbass. And Mew asks what the hell an alien is. Turns out this is all happening within Eugen's room. She asks why they are in her house, so she is tending to their clothes, but immediately folds, saying that they can stay as long as they want because she gets to play with Yang Yang. Casey says the conclusion is, the big guy he fought, Yang Zhou, is their real target. And he really doesn't like what he's doing. He starts to get pissed thinking about how they hit Delgin. Mew says it's thanks to Yang Zhou that he was able to feel again after so long. That gap in pure weight class. And it took him a long time to overcome it before. He never thought he'd feel it again. He says with his current body, he can't win, and he needs the train. Casey agrees, saying that he loses his strength pretty quickly, asking if he wants to come and train at his gym. Mew says no, since he only does fist fighting. And it's not bad, but it's not the kind of training he needs. He needs something rougher and more intense. And he starts thinking about what it is, as Yang Yang finds something while doom scrolling. He quickly brings the phone over to Mew, asking how this is. He holds up the phone, as we see a video of somebody getting hit in the stomach. And the guy doesn't get up. A little girl says that Challenger failed, and with this, he makes 13 consecutive wins. And it's Whistle High's Chungu, and anyone who can challenge him and win will receive 1 million won on the spot. It's every Saturday night at 7 p.m. in the park. Mew and Casey are surprised. Casey tells him that he's part of the god Ori. Mew says that's the thing Yang Zhou is a part of. Casey says yes, calling him a dumbass. Mew says with this, he set a new goal. First, he'll try to fight at the park, then make his way to Yang Zhou and down the list of god Ori. Back to the divine realm, we see a giant attack strike something, as it's none other than Lucifer trying to attack one of the planets, which is specifically Earth. We see him floating above it with his half-demonification, and he just looks pissed. As the dust starts to settle, Earth is completely fine, and he's just pissed that he can't make a scratch on it. He says that Mew made it look so easy, and he wonders what makes him worse, and that he can't figure it out, wondering why he's so inferior. Again, it does a cool transition with his pissed face as it takes us to Yang Zhou, who's tweaking in the bathroom, blaming the vigilante. The dude shitting asks if he's in that much of a hurry. As it turns out, it was a public restroom. He says in the ante he got nothing, they got no money, nor could they catch the vigilante. Broccoli says that they did actually get something, and he hands him the wallet from Delgin. Some coins fall out of it, and Yang Zhou asks if he's trying to die. He says that's not what he was looking for. As her student badge falls onto the ground, they look down at it, and Yang Zhou picks it up, and he starts to smile, saying this will be usable. The next day, we see Yang Yang guiding Mew as they're using a map that Eugen drew for them. A man begins running with his dog beside them, and as they continue, Yang Yang farts. The guy running past them's dog starts to sniff it and goes full crazy. At first, he felt embarrassment, and then he felt nothing but rage, and he started biting Yang Yang in the bag. Yang Yang starts screaming, and Mew's confused, and Yang Yang turns, glaring at the dog who stares back, and he wonders how dare such a lowly creature attack him, and once he can use magic again, he'll find and kill him. Mew says that this is what he was looking for. They finally make it to where they were arriving, which is the park that Chungu was fighting in, and we see a little girl rejecting people from fighting. She asks why he's wearing his school uniform on the weekend and recognizes the school and asks him if that's where he's from. Mew's confused, but Yang Yang tells him just to say yes. Mew says yes, and she asks what his experience is. He asks what she's talking about, and she says that it can be anything. Boxing, wrestling, street fighting, it's just for broadcasting purposes. He starts thinking about it and counting on his hands, and Yang Yang tells him how many years. So Mew says that he's been fighting for about 3 million years. The people behind him in line start laughing, but the little girl says that she found that amusing and accepts him, saying that the entry fee is 50,000 won. Mew's confused, asking if there's anything else, as Yang Yang hands it to him. Back at Eugen's house, she's asking her mother if she's seen her wallet. Turns out that Yang Yang's a little klepto and stole it. The woman counts it up, saying that he's a little short, but she'll let it slide. She calls for the next guy, and Mew looks around, spotting somebody interesting in a hoodie. As he starts taking a deeper look at him, he says based on the size and density of his muscles, he's pretty well trained. That must be the member he saw yesterday from the god Ori, which is Chungu. It's revealed that's actually him, as the little girl says the match is about to start, telling the participants to gather. First, she'll introduce the champion, and he has won for 13 consecutive weeks. She starts to introduce him, as Mew steps up, and she's confused what he's doing. Mew says a match means both sides have already agreed to fight. In that case, there's no need for a preemptive strike. The little girl tells him to wait, asking what he's doing, saying that surely he watched the broadcast, and he can't just start fighting like that. She says it's in a tournament format. She says now the fourth match will continue, and we see the guy who was running past Mew earlier. She says it's the self-proclaimed 3 million years of fighting experience, who is now nicknamed the 3 million year fighter and the master of Chinese martial arts. The Chinese international student of life form boxing. What the hell are these names? Anyway, Yang Yang says it's finally the master's match, and then he notices something as he sees his mortal enemy across the park as he's bark in crazy style. Yang Yang recalls him getting a little bite on his ass and snaps, jumping out of his bag, soaring in the air. We see the bully and his cousin there too. Yang Yang lands right beside Mew, and he asks what's wrong, and Yang Yang tells the dog to get over here. The dog does the tornado twister, get this shit off my neck 3000. And quickly starts running in. Everybody asks what's going on, and his opponent calls his dog Cerberus, asking how he got untied. The little girl is going crazy, saying that this is amazing, and it turns out it's a double match. It's where the master and their pets are fighting as a team. Mew is just staring down at them, and the Chinese dude is just confused as hell. It's now time for an epic fight between Yang Yang and Cerberus. People in the crowd wonder what the hell is with the lizard, and that it has horns and wings. The little girl says the match will begin now. And the Chinese alien asks if he's familiar with, I'm not reading that. We'll just call it the animal mimic. He says that he just imitates the movements of animals, and for an unarmed human, defeating an animal is nearly impossible and is dangerous, so he needs to be careful, as he starts running in. He's using the tiger style, saying that with the feline family's characteristic smooth movements, he's going to lower the opponent's guard, and then follow up with a powerful strike. But Mew says he has no time for that, as he hits him straight in the gut. The guy begins to cough up and falls to the floor, holding onto his stomach. Mew says that even if he imitates them, it's still just a human's movement, and there's nothing special about it. The Chinese alien says that it was only one exchange, but he felt it clearly. As he starts to sweat nervously, he looks up at him, saying that this is a wall he cannot overcome, because he is not incite. He exhales, saying that he has no choice but to use that, and his master warned him that it was a last resort, and is dangerous, as humans must never use it. He apologizes to his master, as he puts his hands on the floor. Mew's wondering what's going on, finding it a bit strange. Meanwhile, Yang Yang looks gassed the hell out, saying that he's only been using magic, so he still sucks at hand-to-hand combat. Cerberus leaps forward and dashes at him all crazy-eyed. He then widens his stance and starts doing some crazy side shuffle technique, scaring Yang Yang. And the little girl asks if they can all see it, saying that the Chihuahua is moving so fast it looks like there are 3 of them, and wonders if this dog is a ninja. This is why he's named Cerberus, because it's a Chihuahua-only type skill to show that they're all demons. Yang Yang says that the one in the middle is the real one, and swings, but his guess is wrong, as Cerberus comes from the side, biting his neck. Yang Yang starts squealing, and the girl starts shoutcasting, saying that it was an incredible feint followed by a chain of attacks, and that Cerberus has taken a very dominant lead in the fight. Meanwhile, on the master's side, she wonders what's going on, as he's on his hands and knees. It's called the quadrupedal mode, and he starts running forward like an animal, directly towards Mew. Everybody laughs, saying that this is insane, that he's running on all fours. And we see his master watching it. As everybody starts laughing at him, he says that he told him not to do that in front of people, and begins tearing up. As he gets closer, Mew says his stance is low, and he starts to leap in for an attack, still using the tiger style. He swipes at Mew's face, and Mew feels it, as if his face just got sliced apart. As the Chinese alien lands to his side, Mew says that if that hadn't been a human's hand but a beast's paw, he'd definitely be dead. But since it was a human, it just scratched him. He readies himself, coming in for another attack, and Mew asks if he's really doing it again. As he dodges the swipe from cat style, it barely nicks his ear, but he also takes one after Cerberus and bites his leg using the Chihuahua style, and then gives him a horse kick from behind. Mew says he's never seen a human use their muscles like this, and he can't predict his movements at all. He starts smiling, wondering what exactly to do, because he's a pervert. He then looks down at the Pokemon fight, saying that if he just thinks of him as any other four-legged animal, the weakness should be the exact same. As he starts running back in, Mew lowers his stance and starts to squeeze his calves and thighs, as he leaps up into the air, catching the Chinese alien off guard and everybody else, as he just jumped hella high into the air. But it's too late, as when the Chinese alien looks up, his head gets slammed down, as Mew lands on his head and lower back, slamming him into the ground. He says that the weakness of quadrupeds is the sky. Everybody starts going crazy, saying that they actually bet on the Chinese alien. Mew wonders how Yang Yang's doing, as Yang Yang's defeated, and Cerberus is looking to eat him. Mew glares at him, but Cerberus is glaring back. Of course, Cerberus gives up, as he uses the Chihuahua type skill called the weak must fear the strong. Why they draw his butthole and balls. The little girl says that it's a proper loss for the Chinese exchange student, and that Cerberus forfeits, giving the win to the 3-million-year fighter. Mew looks at his ear and starts licking his lips, and everybody asks what he's doing, saying that's forbidden. And the tournament continues on. The result of match 5 is that the 13th time champion advances to the final. Next up is Mew versus the boxing Diamond Seed, and this is the 6th match that will determine the second finalist. As Mew steps up, we see the representative boxing, who is bronze in gaming but diamond class in boxing. It's none other than Chol, who still has a cast on his arm. And he starts looking nervous. Mew recognizes him, saying that he's glad to meet him again, but he doesn't feel the excitement. Chol says as long as he doesn't let his guard down like last time, then he will be okay. The little girl asks who will be the one to face the champion, telling them to fight. They both charge in. Chol is determined to win. As Mew punches towards Chol's cast, Mew feels an intense pain all over his wrist and starts screaming. Chol says that because of you, he's stuck in a cast, and it serves him right, calling him a son of a bitch. All Mew feels is nothing but pure pain in his arm. He starts smiling, saying right now he can totally feel that he is alive. He begins blushing, and Chol sweats nervously, saying that this dude is a straight freak. But if he stays calm and handles him carefully, there won't be a problem. He'll throw some jabs to shake him up. But Mew looks laser focused. Chol says that he's going to finish it with a kick, and he only thinks of him as a boxer, so he won't see it coming. He's wrong though, as Mew is looking down at his leg, seeing his muscle fibers twitch as Chol raises it. He says that he surely didn't see this coming. And Mew hits him with the same thing that Casey hit him with, as he hits him straight on the knee, which is what caused him to spin. As he starts to turn like a ballerina, Mew then hits him once more with Casey's attack, showing that he's taking from his opponents if he needs to. As Chol falls to the ground unconscious, Mew quickly goes over and bites his ear. Now getting rid of both of them, the bully starts to get PTSD. A bit later, it's time for the finals. Why does he look so girly? It's time for Chungu versus Mew. Mew has only had 2 matches, but he sure did give a pretty good performance. The winner is going to get 1,000,000 won, and she tells them to start the match. Mew smiles, saying that he's fought 3 times today, and he charges straight in. Chungu instantly uses a kick straight to his head, but Mew blocks it, saying that his kick sure was fast. As Chungu raises her leg for another kick, Mew dodges, getting close, and then raises his hand while keeping the pressure, making Chungu backpedal. Mew is a little gassed out. Turns out it was a woman, my fault, but he says her kicks are just as her weight class suggests, and she sure does have some heavy ones, and as expected, that God Ori aren't going to be easy to deal with. More than anything, her reach is too long, and he wonders what to do. He starts to make his calm face, and she asks if he's hurt anywhere. He realizes he can't get close, and then he charges straight in, saying that he has no other option. She kicks his head, and as he starts spinning from the attack, he returns, using the momentum to generate torque for his leg. He kicks her hat off, which catches her off guard. She still has not taken her hands out of her pockets yet, and then Mew widens his stance and says that her legs are almost as long as his body, so she isn't suited to fight shorter people. She finally takes her hands out of her pockets, saying okay, and then charges straight in with a kick. As Mew blocks it, it still has a hell of an impact. She then immediately closes the gap, as he's still reeling from the attack, and kicks towards his head. He says that all of her attacks are high. As she swings, he ducks underneath it. She looks a bit anxious, as she recognizes the Chinese alien's technique, as he's using the quadrupedal thing he did earlier. He says if he lowers his stance with this technique, he might find an opening, since she's so much taller than he is. She says that sure, it's a joke, as she kicks straight towards his head, but he easily sidesteps it, and then a follow-up, and even once more just to show that he's completely nimble. She says that she's not used to low attacks, since she usually goes for the head. Everybody else is just laughing besides the Chinese alien, who says that he's trained for that in 5 years, yet he's imitating it perfectly. The master is also watching, and people start saying that this quadrupedal thing is actually kind of gas, since he hasn't been hit once using it, making the master blush. She then stomps towards Mew's head, but he dodges that too, and he starts running around her like Eric Andre in that one skit. She says that he's just like a cockroach, and turns to look at one of his attacks, and she counters with a spinning high kick, and then she follows through, and looks, seeing that what she hit was actually a hat. As it hits the ground, she's surprised by this and turns, only to see Mew directly in her face, as he's using the imitation fist once more, but this time he's copying a behemoth, which is a monster from another world. I know some of you said I was late with the series, and yeah, I was. But hey, I can't be first for all of them. And honestly, it didn't really seem like anyone covered it this far either. Anyway, let's get into my personal thoughts so far. So, in terms of story, not much has happened yet. The only real plot progression we've gotten is Lucifer stopping our guy from returning to his original body. Beyond that, the series has mostly just been about a dude who's a full-on battle junkie. He's taken over the body of some weakling on Earth, and yeah, it's as wild as it sounds. I did think it was cool how he sent the original soul to another world, but I've also got a few questions about what the hell he's doing now, but I'll continue. As for character development? Pretty much none besides the bully turning into an actual student. And that's not necessarily a bad thing yet, we're still early. The combat and comedy have been doing the heavy lifting so far. The fights are actually pretty fun, and there are some genuinely hilarious moments. The recent little Pokemon-style duel had me laughing more than it should have. That kind of goofy energy is something I really appreciate in a series. Now, let's circle back to the story for a second, because this is where some things don't fully line up for me. So, this guy's been fighting for millions of years. Literal millions. But somehow, the way he fights doesn't always reflect that experience. Like yeah, maybe he got used to tanking hits once his body became crazy durable, but early on, when he was supposedly weaker, wouldn't dodging and finesse be more second nature to him? It feels like someone with that much experience wouldn't be getting smacked around this much. That being said, we've definitely seen glimpses of that skill when he starts mimicking people's moves, especially with that Chinese alien fight. So I'm not saying he doesn't have the experience, it's just that it doesn't always come across clearly. In terms of power scaling though? I'm into it. Someone mentioned it in a comment and I totally agree, he's been nerfed hard, and now he's slowly building back up. I actually like that. It's a lot more engaging to watch a character grind their way back to power than to just be busted from the jump. Still, no clue how we're gonna get him back to fighting gods anytime soon, but I'm looking forward to seeing how they bridge that gap. I'm also curious what's happening to the original body's soul, like, he got isekai'd somewhere, right? So are we ever gonna see him again? Is he struggling? No clue, but that's another potential thread I hope the story picks up. Imagine if he becomes a god in the other world, then takes his body back. Overall, there's not a ton to break down yet, but that's fine. It's early. The premise is solid, the fights are clean and flow nicely. I always love when you can actually see the mechanics behind each hit, like how they even draw the hip rotation or the stance shifts. That kind of detail really sells a fight for me. So yeah, those are my thoughts for now. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'm enjoying it, and I hope you are too. If you've watched till the end, comment Roadhouse to let me know. Subscribe for more videos like this, leave a like or a comment to help the channel out. Thanks for watching.